Hey guys, cautiously optimistic worm here today to talk about Iron Banner. And yes, by the title, I do have a hot take on Iron Banner, and that is why it's almost perfect. Now, lots of people are going to disagree. A lot of people are going to say, no, this is the worst Iron Banner we've ever had. Some of you are going to say it's the best. Some of you are going to say it's the worst. I know that. But hear me out. Let me talk about my points as to why I think it's a great game and what changes I think need to happen to bring it to that level of greatness that it's so close to being at. Now, for starters, let's talk about why it's a great game mode. Obviously, it's Iron Banner 6v6 and a control style game mode. Control style game modes have always been a staple in Destiny. They're fantastic. Everybody enjoys control. Most people enjoy control style game modes. However, this one has a twist that makes it unique specifically to this game mode, which is twice during the game. Twice. Sorry, trying to make it where you can see my hand. You can, there is a Cabal drop pod that drops basically a special zone that players can cap and gain a ton of points on. One at 40, let's see here, one when the score hits 40, one when the score hits 80. Now, what makes this game mode truly unique, aside from the fact that it's control, which is already a very fun playlist, is the addition of this central point, okay? Because this totally changes the game mode. Like middle of the game, you get like mini game, okay, of capture the flag, or not capture the flag, but like hold the zone, okay? And that happens twice in a game. It allows players a chance to get a break from, oh my gosh, like, I'm bored of capping flags, blah, 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 killing, capping. Yes, now I get to go hold this middle zone. None of that, but it focuses every enemy against you and every one of your teammates to one area of the map, essentially condensing your map size from however big it was to a tiny little area where there's lots of combat in this one small area. I think that the Cabal, the Cabal turrets, they're Cabal turrets. We can't have Cabal running around in PvP. That would just make it Gambit. A lot of players would hate it. I think that the Cabal turrets are completely fine. I wouldn't go any overboard on PvE style enemies in this game mode. But yeah, it's so close to being perfect. However, there are some shortcomings that it has that I want to talk about, and I want to talk about how, in my opinion, we can fix them to make this game truly great. And it's very blatantly obvious that one of the issues is bubble titans and other defensive supers. And by defensive supers, I mean Well of Radiance and the bubble, as well as connections. Now, in terms of connections, I'm going to make this short and sweet. Bungie, you need to remove skill-based matchmaking from the game, or you need to prioritize connection-based over skill-based, because at the end of the day, the reason a lot of these games suck is because you're shooting somebody that's running into a wall and then they teleport behind you and kill you. And that is incredibly frustrating. That is the most frustrating thing. But my dear viewers, it's important to remember that is not exclusive to the Iron Banner playlist. That is exclusive. That is something that happens everywhere in the game. Okay, and so we can't say that's an Iron Banner issue. We got to be fair to Iron Banner and say that, hey, this is an issue that happens everywhere, not just an Iron Banner. So, aside from the connections, though, the Bubble Titans and the Well of Radiance Warlock users. Now, first of all, no, we're not going to blame them in this video. We're not going to point our fingers and say, oh, like, you're trash, you use a well, use a blah, blah, blah. Nothing like that, because players naturally cater to the meta. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. They go into the meta because they want to win, okay? If you were going to try to win a game of Iron Banner, a game of, I forget the name of this game mode. But if you're trying to win a game of Iron Banner, naturally, if you're a Titan, you're going to want to use the bubble. Okay, you're going to want to use the bubble so that you can easily take the zone and hold the zone. Like, that zone is a treasure chest of points for your team. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, like, they're trash, anything like that. And yes, I've done it before. In the gameplay you're seeing here, yeah, I'm using my Arc Titan, not Bubble Titan, not Void Titan, but neither here nor there. Let's talk about how we can change the mechanics of the game to help alleviate the issue with bubbles, as well as wells and stuff like that. Now, starting off The biggest issue I think that we have is that somebody can put a bubble on the point, and that's it. And unless you have a counter super, unless you have something to kill them, they're in there and they're good. They're set. They're set for the 30 seconds their bubble lasts, and that is a ton of points. That's like 30 points, I think, roughly in that area. I think that this could use a change in the fact that somebody places a bubble on the well, all they're going to do is sit inside their bubble. Okay, they're not going to come out to try to fight you. They're going to sit inside the bubble and they're going to gain points. Change this, Bungie, so that if an enemy player has a bubble and me or one of my teammates step into the zone, it goes from being captured by the enemy team to contested. Okay, now obviously there is contest in this game mode. You know, if the zone hasn't been captured and you've got two of each teammates on it, or you know, one teammate, one enemy on it, then it's going to be contested. No one will get points. However, this needs to carry over into the, you know, the whole zone. Like if the enemy comes and captures it, oh, I'm going to run up there with my bubble and put it down, and he's got his bubble, and now we're going to contest it. So nobody's going to get any points. Timer's still going to tick down, but nobody's going to get any points. I think that would be a brilliant change, because that's going to force players to fight each other. It's going to force them out of the bubble. If one Titan goes and puts his bubble down on the points, and he just thinks, oh, I'm just going to sit there, and he caps it, and he thinks I'm going to sit there and just cap points, you know, 3 or 4 of your guys can come in, sit there and contest, and it's going to force him out of the bubble. I would even go as far to say make it based on the number of people you have on your team. If there's 2 people on the enemy team in the zone, and there's 3 people on your team in the zone, then your team starts bleeding points. Okay, and maybe not the full like 4 or 7 or however many points it is, but your team starts getting, you know, those points. Half the points, maybe, hell, depending on how many, a certain number of points. Again, that would force the Titan, oh, you know, if my team is winning and I put a bubble down, I'm the only one in there, and 6 of the enemies decide to come and stand in there, all of a sudden I'm not getting points, they're gaining points. Okay, and it's going to say, okay, it's going to force me and my team to fight them and try to force them out of the zone. I think that would be a wonderful change. Primarily, you know, again, we're talking about, you know, dynamic, oh, if there's more players on this, then blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I think the main thing is allow it to be contested, so long as at least one of your teammates is in there and one of the enemies is in there. And then, of course, once they die, you can cap the zone just like normal. Now, the other glaring issue that I see with this, you know, with this game mode, especially last Iron Banner, that was a nightmare. But you know, this we played today, it wasn't as bad today. But the next issue that I see is players like to cap the zone and then run back. Okay, they like to run back and defend the zone from a distance. This is, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because on one hand it's like, okay, like, you know, if you're using a scout rifle and you cap the zone, obviously you need to get back into scout rifle range, but everybody seems to be doing it. And especially last Iron Banner, everybody and their mom was doing this within the games. I think that the next change I would make would be to force at least one person from your team to stay in the zone in order to hold it, in order to gain points. Okay, this means that if your team gets there first and caps it, your team has to cap it, but at least one person has to stay in that middle zone to cap it. And I would, you know, we could go as far to say, you know, the more people you have, the more points you get. You know, that would be very, very cool. But at least, at the bare minimum, at least make it where one person has to be in the well, or in the zone, sorry, for your team to get points, or for the enemy team to get points. This would, of course, alleviate those people that run off all the way to the back of the map and use scout rifles or use snipers or pulse rifles to kill players before they can get in there. Because here's the thing. You think about it, you cap the zone, you get 3 players run back all together, and they start shooting at the guys that run in there. They're basically instant killing people. Like, the enemy team is not going to have time even cap the zone without some sort of intervention. So I think that having one person stay in the zone to cap points is a very, very important change. But with that being said, that's That's I think those changes right there are good enough as they are. I know I had thought about some other ones in the past, but I don't think they're relevant anymore since with the changes and stuff like that. But please, Bungie, this game mode is almost perfect. Please, I'm begging you to make these changes. Okay, make these changes and add this to the weekly rotating playlist. That way we can have a perfect game mode. We can truly have a fun and perfect. Anyways, hey, thanks for coming and watching. Go check us out on stream sometime, twitch.tv/thewormkeeper. And yeah, I hope y'all have a great night. Bye for now.